are doing well and having a wonderful week so far. Today we're going to go ahead and work on making a Thanksgiving inspired charcuterie board. This is something that I'm really looking forward to starting as more of a tradition when it comes to celebrations like holidays, birthdays, things like that. I think it's a great way to add a personal touch to an event or, like I said, a holiday. So I'm going to go ahead and share my idea for a really festive and sweet Thanksgiving charcuterie board. I'm going to go ahead and start by placing my grapes on the upper left-hand side of my board. Whenever I do make charcuterie boards, I try to do the larger items first, just so that I know their placement, and from there I'll fill in additional cheeses, meats, and items. And now I'm going to go ahead and make my salami rows. So I started by placing 4 slices inside of the dish that I'm using here. And from there, I'm going to go ahead and fold about 5 pieces of salami in half and place each one at about the halfway mark of the slice prior to it. And once I do that, I'm going to go ahead and rotate and then roll up the meat so that it's one piece. And once the meat is completely rolled, I go ahead and place it in the middle of the dish. I adjust it as needed to make it look the way that I'm wanting it to, and then I go ahead and keep making more. I was also going to say that you can place them halfway, as I did in that first clip, or you can line them up like I'm doing now, then fold it all in half as one piece and roll it. I actually prefer this way, but I wanted to show you both because I know everyone has their own preferences when designing charcuterie boards and what they find to be most convenient. So I just wanted to give you an extra option so that you could figure out what is best for you. Now that that's done, I'm going to go ahead and get out my Boursin cheese. I absolutely love this. This is a personal favorite of my family. And one thing I want to point out from the very beginning is please cater to the guests of your household or those you're having over. I know that there's so many incredible options and really fancy cheeses and meats and things you can do, but sometimes I feel like we might be tempted to go that route, but it's so impractical. So just cater to those that are in your house. Make this something fun and enjoyable and a way to really elevate your daily treats and snacks in a way that is so fun and festive. So like I said, that's the cheese that I feel like our kids would most like, probably above brie, which is very common on these boards. And now I'm going to go ahead and start making a salami ribbon. So what I'm doing is I am folding a piece of salami in half and then going against it and tucking it into the other piece of meat. And it's gonna basically form a ribbon. I will say you need to be mindful of the fact that it would unravel fairly easily. I know that some people are able to do this and there's no issues with it unraveling. For me personally, I do feel you have to be mindful of the fact that it might not want to hold its place as much as you would like it to. So what I did once I was done forming this is I placed a little dish on each end of it so that I could adjust the structure of my salami in the way that I wanted. And you don't have to do this, you can use any items, but I do like to use items from the board to help hold things in place. So just keep that in mind when you're creating it. Have something ready to grab to put it in the placement that you are wanting. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a few more grapes at the bottom right hand side of my board. I do like the idea of keeping some things cohesive. I think that there's definitely a design element to charcuterie boards, and so I would say either work in pairs or work in threes or odd numbers. I think that does truly tend to look the most appealing to your eye. And now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and slice my Gouda. So I'm going around the rim to create basically a home for what is about to be cubed smoked Gouda cheese. As you can see, I did not do a very good job cutting this. It was a lot harder than what I anticipated, so forgive me for this really horrible cutting job, but I'm gonna go ahead and cube it, place it inside, and show you in a moment what that would look like once complete. Once I finished doing the cubed cheese and placing it on my board, I decided to go ahead and add some additional items. So I began to take some crackers and place them on my board. I did these really delicious ones next to the boursin cheese. I did want to mention really quickly that Aldi has a great assortment of crackers. There's 6 different kinds and it's only a couple dollars. So if you're ever wanting to create a board but you want to do it in an affordable way, I think that Aldi is a great option for your groceries. And next I'm going to go ahead and add a few more types of crackers. Like I had shared, I love to work in odd numbers, so I put 3 different kinds on the board for now. And now I'm going to go ahead and slice some jalapeno cheese. I went ahead and cut them in triangles. I wanted to show you really briefly a really fun, unique way to go ahead and stack your cheese. So I'm going to cut them into triangles and then I'll show you how to layer them so that it adds a little flair and unique look to your board. As you can see, I'm just going to place each cheese slice opposite of the previous one, and it'll form a really sweet design. I try to use slices that are very close to being the same size. As you can see, I had to disregard one because it was a little too thick. And once you do that, you can find a really nice place on your board to display the cheese. Now we're going to go ahead and start filling in some spaces. So I like to use things like dried apricots and nuts to help fill in spaces because ultimately you want to try to fill your board to completion. I think that's the best way to go about doing things such as grazing boards and charcuterie boards. So as you can see, I'm adding in some apricots here and I'll add in some nuts in just a moment. I also decided to pick up some blueberries because that is a personal favorite of my children. So I'm going to go ahead and place them by my salami roses and then a couple other spots to start to cover all of the wood that you can still see on my board. Like I said, these boards are all about personalization. So I know maybe the shelled pistachios seems a little crazy to some and you might prefer them to not have the shell on, but my husband actually loves when they're shelled, and so that's why I decided to pick them up in this format. And it's a great way to fill in those spaces. Like I said, that's the big goal here. And so you're gonna wanna find items in all different sizes because you're gonna need lots of different sizes in order to make sure that your board is completely covered and looks just so appealing to the eye because of the fact that there's so many options and variety to choose from. I'm going to go ahead and fill in the small gap on the right side of my board by adding more meat. So this is another type of salami. As you can tell, that is a huge favorite in our house. The kids love it as well as my husband. So that's why I'm going a little overboard with it. But I'm going to go ahead and do what is called a fan fold. And so as you can see, I'm basically going back and forth and pinching the bottom once done. And it kind of creates this little fanned look. It kind of reminds me of a seashell, which maybe not everyone sees that, but that's what I see whenever I do these. And I think it's a great way to fill in gaps. And so, like I said, use the items on your board to help hold things in place because it's so, so helpful. The board is filling in beautifully. I'm going to go ahead and add more crackers as well as some honey to these little dipping jars. That is something that my children love so much. I mean, I love honey too, but probably not to the level that they do. So that is something that is a great thing to have in your dishes with a cute little honey stick. I think it's just the sweetest look. I personally think that this goes well with different types of crackers. On the board that I'm going to do on Thanksgiving, I will most definitely be adding small slices of sourdough bread in addition to the crackers. I think that would be a great option if you're like me and love sourdough. I think it would be paired so well with this board. To add a personal touch, I'm going to go ahead and use a slice of provolone cheese, and I took a cookie stamp set, which I will link below if you are interested, and I went ahead and had it spell thankful. I think this is the sweetest way to add a personal and beautiful touch to your board. I love when I see boards that spell things and are personalized to the event or occasion, so I think this is such a sweet idea. And to add a final touch to this board, I went ahead and grabbed some fresh basil from my garden, and I'm going to place it around the salami roses to make it look like an actual bouquet. I think that it looks so sweet and lovely, and I also wanted to add it in any other gaps that I'm seeing. I love the way that the pop of green looks against the food items, and I think it's just another way to really create an artistic look to your charcuterie board. And here is the final result for this Thanksgiving-inspired charcuterie board. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. That was so fun to put together. That was actually one of the first times I have ever made a charcuterie board, but it's something I'm so interested in as a hobby. Like I said, it's just such a beautiful way to elevate your food. And if you're like me, sometimes I think that food really can be an expression of your artistry, and so I think it was really fun to put this together. I hope that you all have a blessed rest of your week. I hope that you have the most incredible Thanksgiving as you're gearing up for it, and I will see you all very soon. Bye, friends.